wanted to come on is to see if you guys are on planet Earth or live in an alternate reality. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm being genuine about it.
Cenk is definitely on his own planet. That's for sure. That's for sure. Hello, my name is Liz Ashley and welcome to my channel. I'm gonna try to record this before I go out of town. It is 2:50 in the morning and my flight leaves at 6:20. So, yes. Anyway, so hello, welcome. Just a little personal news. I feel like I don't always share a lot of personal stuff, so maybe I should start. This is not helping me speed this up. Today, as you can see, we are going to be talking about Cenk's debate with Krystal and Kyle. Now, Cenk, I think this interview was such a bad idea, and I don't know why he wanted to do this. He crashes out the entire time, and it makes him look even worse than he already did. So I'm not really understanding why he wanted to do this. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. So I think it was like this week or over the weekend. It's been a crazy, not that it hasn't been a crazy like 5-6 months, but like the past 2 weeks have just been like, just been like, oh my god. In the very beginning, it was so fun to watch because Krystal right off the bat. So like Krystal did a half an hour and then Kyle did a half an hour. I only saw Krystal's part. I saw like a portion of Kyle's part. I might do like a part 2 of Kyle's part, but honestly, like Cenk wasn't really saying anything. In the intro, and this is something that I'm so glad that she did. She put up the tweet that Cenk made about how he's actually excited when Trump won because he understands that the establishment lost. Okay? Now he's saying that after Trump had already been president. Just putting that out there. He is the establishment, and he did a lot of establishment things while he was president last time. So acting like he's some anti-establishment candidate is a very wild thing, but that's what Cenk did. And then Cenk tweeted at Elon Musk and Don Jr. and all these people to be like, hey, you want to cut stuff? Let's cut the budget. Let's cut the Pentagon budget. So he does all this stuff in the beginning when Trump wins, right? Because he hedged the wrong bet. And he's paying for it now. But in the very beginning, Krystal shows the clip. Krystal shows those receipts, and she shows the clip of when Cenk was on previously, and he looked at the camera, and I remember when this happened, and I'm so happy that she brought it up because I was wondering what he was going to say, and I think I've said that in other videos about him. I was wondering what he was going to say.
It kind of follows on the heels of a discussion/debate that you and I had back in December. Launching point was a tweet that you had put out expressing some optimism about the Trump administration. So we can put that tweet up on the screen from Cenk to refresh everybody's memory about where we started. So you said, in November 29th, 2024, I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election. Even though I was so against the guy who won, I know now MAGA is not my mortal enemy, neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated. Let's go ahead and play that portion as a refresher. That is element number 2.
I want to address something to the audience. Can I?
Sure.
Is this my camera here? Okay, yeah. So right-wing populists, it is now your job to prove Krystal wrong.
Go out and do it, y'all.
So she doesn't believe you. And by the way, almost no one on the left, other than me and Anna, believe you guys that you actually want to cut the Pentagon. And that you could pressure Elon Musk and Donald Trump to cut the Pentagon. So are you going to prove the left wrong, or are you going to prove them spectacularly right? Am I going to have to come on here and apologize to Krystal for ever believing in any right-wing populist?
You're wrong. You've been wrong. Everything you've predicted, everything you've said has been wrong. Your strategy has been wrong. Everything you said you wanted to fight against is now happening. You're not changing anything. You're not doing anything. You're just wrong, and you're excusing fascists. And it's so funny because you can see it in this video. He's like, the populist right, the leftists, they don't believe you, populist right. They don't think you're actually going to cut the Pentagon budget. They don't believe you that you're anti-war. Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. While everyone, like me, like Krystal, like everyone has been saying, No, they're not. They're not. They're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And quite the opposite happened. And now Cenk is having to come to terms with that. Spoiler alert, he does not come to terms with that at all. He's actually quite delusional, which is really wild to watch. Like, it's so wild. After that, after she shows receipts, and I was like, oh my God. Like, from the very beginning, I was like, oh my God. From the very beginning, I was like, oh my God, they're not messing around. Like, they're not messing around, man. They're calling Cenk out, which I'm glad for. But it's so funny because from the very beginning, you can tell that Cenk is like, he's so hostile. He's so hostile from the very beginning. But Krystal mentions that he wanted to do this, that this was his idea, that he reached out to them to do this. And so I don't know why he's so hostile. I don't know why. Like, from the very beginning, he's like, well, I wanted to come on here to see if we're living on the same planet Earth, if we're living in the same reality.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Cenk reached out to Kyle and I this week and said, hey, I think we got some things to talk through.
I wanted to come on is to see if you guys are on planet Earth or live in an alternate reality. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm being genuine about it.
Obviously we're not. I mean, obviously we're not. And that becomes very clear throughout the whole entire debate. It's not even really a debate because you have Krystal and Kyle over here actually like stating real facts, stating what's actually going on. And Cenk's just like, oh, you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. That's the whole debate. Like, in a nutshell, is Cenk being like, you're straw manning me, you're misinterpreting my what I said.
The framing of all of this is totally wrong. Like, we're having a conversation. Oh, do you think Trump's a bad? Of course I think Trump's a bad guy. So even the framing makes me like sound defensive when you guys started with a premise that's out in la la land. Everything you frame is a straw man.
And so I think one of the first things that he said is that MAGA is anti-war still, and that MAGA is continuing to be anti-war because of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, and a few other people. And they were like, okay, well, first of all, Trump's not anti-war. And he's like, oh, Trump's irrelevant. Well, no, he's not. First of all, because he's the president, and he has said multiple times that make America great again or America first is what he decides it is. He has said that. Also, she just showed the tweet. When he won, you said you were excited because the anti-establishment party won. And now he's doing the same thing. And you're over here like, oh no, but I was still right. How? Where? Talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't stop him from striking Iran, did it? And so it's like, and that was his whole thing. His whole thing was, I'm going to talk to Marjorie Taylor Greene so we can stop the war. Like the delusion. And I said it in that video. The delusion to think that you talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene is somehow going to stop Donald Trump for doing what Donald Trump is going to do. Crazy. And so she's like, well, actually, they've gone back on that. Like, Tucker Carlson has apologized. Marjorie Taylor Greene is still going against it rhetorically. She will never blame Trump. She will never say Trump's name. And she won't sign. There's a bill in Congress that Thomas Massie put in place, and she won't sign it. And so how anti-war is she really, first of all? Second of all, I think she has a lot of defense stocks. So she's been stock trading while she's talking about everybody else. She's been stock trading. So she's not anti-war. Steve Bannon, I think, has bent the knee. Charlie Kirk has bent the knee. And it was really funny. My favorite part is when she called Charlie Kirk his buddy. And he's like, he's not my buddy. It's like, well, didn't you want to get a beer with him? Wasn't that your whole thing? We got to be buddy-buddy. We got to be buddy-buddy with people like white nationalists like Charlie Kirk to be able to win. But win what? I don't know, because you're not winning anything.
Do you see a massive MAGA revolt against the war? And I'm being genuine. It's a literal question. Or do you just not see it?
Cenk, here's what I can tell you. Okay, Charlie Kirk, your buddy. He has already.
He's not my buddy.
He has
Krystal,
already gone. He has already gone.
Thing to say.
He's already gone from being critical of the Iran war to, guess what? He got a call from the White House. And now what's he saying? Oh, I trust Trump. Trump is the man for this moment. I know he's going to make the right decision.
But no, all of these people have since been like, no, Trump's right. I trust him. And now that there's a, I don't know when I'm posting this, Wednesday, Friday, wherever. I don't know what's going to happen by then, but the supposed ceasefire, now they're back to like, oh, see, he's anti-war. And it's this flip-flop back and forth, flip-flop back and forth. And so they're like, yeah, no, I think that whatever Trump says, they're going to go along with. There's going to be a few people that are going to start realizing and kind of come off the fringes, you know. And I think people that Krystal does her show with, Sagar, and I don't know the other girl's name, but I think they kind of are a little bit more critical of Trump than a lot of other conservatives. The majority of the people he has around him that are making the decisions are going to continue to do whatever he wants because that's why he put them in that place. Now, Cenk is saying that, oh, well, you're talking about politicians, I'm talking about people. Well, no, because you were talking to Charlie Kirk, you were talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's really wild because this whole time they're just reiterating things that he has said to them, and he's saying, you're strawmanning me, I never said that, that's not what I meant, and it's like, no, but it is. But it is. And anytime someone came to you and said, well, I think you're wrong, you went off on them, you called them stupid. He calls them stupid in this. And he's like, oh, I shouldn't call you stupid. That's not nice. You are so nice to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Charlie Kirk, and you're so cordial. But then when it comes to the left, you're not. You're just like so rude and disrespectful, and you don't care. It's so wild to me that you still think people want to give you the benefit of the doubt after that. They debate about the anti-war thing, and then the defense budget thing, and how he reached out to Don Jr. and he's like, well, do you think they're just lying? Like, do you think they're just lying? Do you think this was just a big con that they just said they were anti-war, but they're not? And Krystal and Kyle are like, yes, that's exactly what happened. Like, that's exactly what they did. That's 1,000% what they did.
You have to be honest about what's actually happening. So if you guys are saying, and I'm not trying to strawman you guys like you did, in my opinion, in the framing of every question. So I'm asking you, you're saying it's all fake, and you think that all these right-wing hosts are not actually anti-war, but they've been telling their audience now for months that the war is a terrible, let me ask the question, and that the war is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea, and how would that strategy work? So they get their audience totally against the war, then they capitulate to Trump.
Let me tell you how that strategy works.
How did that help them be pro-war?
Let me explain how
My
that
answer
strategy
to your question
works.
is yes, by the way.
You told us that we should listen to them and that we should give them a fair chance, even though they've been lying about everything for years now, decades now. And so it's like, yes, they were lying. Yes, that's exactly. Yes, exactly. And I think that's been proven. And he's like, no, you guys are crazy. You're crazy. He's like, we are living in different worlds. It's wild that you can't see it. There are populist right wing, and we're not going to agree on 90% of it, but the 10% we can agree on. And Krystal's like, yeah, that 10% was anti-war, and now they're not. So where's the overlap? Like, what are you saying? There is no overlap. There's not overlap because they're lying. Maybe there are some regular conservatives that are not politicians that do have these beliefs. A lot of the times when it comes to like racist propaganda or homophobic or transphobic propaganda, they would rather vote on those terms. They would fall for that and instead of voting actually anti-war, voting actually, in their economic interest. And that's just the truth. Something that Cenk said was, oh, you guys don't talk to MAGA, you don't know what they think. And Krystal's like, no, I do. She talks to Sagar, she talks to, God, I don't know, Emily, I think that's her name. But she's like, I talk to them every day. What are you talking about, Cenk? And then he kind of moves on from the point because he can't really say anything. I have people in my family that are like, I say this all the time. My family, they're conservative. They love Trump. I was talking to a family member the other day, and it's like, they believe everything. They like the what they say is almost literally verbatim what Trump says. I'm not even joking. There are times that I'll hear what they're saying and I'll be like, I literally listened to him say this earlier today in like a press conference. Like I don't think Cenk talks to some of the regular people. Maybe my family's different than other conservative family. I don't know. But like when I listen to them, what I hear is the same talking points. Hook, line, and sinker. every single time. And we could agree on the surface on something, but then it always devolves into George Soros and you know, criminal immigrants. Like it always devolves back to there. So if I try to make a economic, you know, populist or progressive economic talking point, and I try to, and I'll go through it all and I'll say it all, and they'll be like, yeah, I agree with you, but then I'll be like, okay, that's why we need to do this, and then they're like, no, that's why we need to get illegal criminal immigrants out of this country. It doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. I know there are a lot of people who want to try to reach out to conservatives and try to get them on board, and listen, I'm not the one. There are many people in my family I don't talk to because of things like this. I don't think placating them, and I don't think acting nice and just pretending like what they're doing or what they believe in isn't harmful to communities and isn't harmful to people's livelihoods, just kidnapping people off the street. There are people who are defending that. There are people who like it. And to not acknowledge that and to be like, well, we can agree on the surface on one thing, even though if you get back down to it, they don't believe what you're saying. They don't believe it. They just agree with you in the abstract, but when it comes to actually solving the problem, they don't agree with you. Kyle, at the very end, he gets really upset. I would have gotten upset way before they did. But, he's like, dude, I'm doing the same strategy you did with TYT. I'm doing the same strategy. I'm belligerent. I'm going to fight for what's right. And if there are people who want to join me, great. But all of the people who are still supporting this, F them. I'm not gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They are supporting kidnapping people and taking them off the streets. They don't deserve me trying to sugarcoat things or placate them, because this is what's happening. This is really happening. It is harming lots of people in lots of communities. I'm not gonna sit here and try to bring you onto my side or try to find a middle ground, because I just think that's abhorrent, and there's no middle ground in that situation. Nor do I know if a lot of people would want a middle ground. And I'm not saying that everyone's a monolith or, conservatives are a monolith or whatever. I'm just speaking from experience of who I have in my life and experience of who I've talked to in my life who are conservative. Things I was taught inadvertently in how I grew up. It's really crazy because it's so obvious that Cenk is wrong, and yet he's so belligerent. And I just think this is who he is. I think he, like a lot of other men online, can admit when they're wrong. They want to be the strong man, and he still thinks he's right. He's still saying that he was right, and he was saying that he was pointing out the hypocrisy, that he did exactly what they thought that they were going to do, because, if they went with it, great, I push them to the left. But if they don't, well, then I can point out their hypocrisy. When has that ever worked? That doesn't work. Pointing out their hypocrisy does not work. It does not work. They don't care.
So, Krystal, we do live in two different worlds. It's fascinating to see. It's amazing to see. So, number one, the project of saying cut the Pentagon worked. Why did it work? Because they cut the Pentagon, they magically became progressives overnight? No. It worked because it showed and highlighted their hypocrisy, that they weren't going to cut the Pentagon. 90% of things massively wrong. And in the other 10% that he plans to do wrong, I'm saying we have a fighter's chance if we ally and we show hypocrisy, or we get allies. It's a win-win either way, okay? So for example, in opposing the war, either they become our allies and somehow at some point we stop this war, or we show, oh, you guys never meant it. Now you're the pro-war party.
The people who want this stuff, they don't care. They don't care if it's hypocritical. And so it's crazy that he still thinks that. They're not moving the needle. And then he's like, no, that's me fighting back. I'm showing that they're hypocritical, like Ro Khanna, like Bernie. First of all, to compare yourself to Bernie is a wild thing to do right now. When you got mad because Hassan got an interview with Bernie and you did not. I have my criticisms of Bernie, but I really do like him. And so it's crazy to me that he wants to try to say that him and Bernie are on the same page. You're not. you're actually not. Like, you're actually not. Like, he is trying to get people in, but even him and AOC will say on the stage, like, we are for everyone. This is an inclusive movement. We are not going to exclude people because they are trans or LGBTQ. We are going to fight for everyone. And if you are in this movement, if you're going to join this movement, we are going to fight for everyone. And Cenk does not believe that. Cenk does not believe that. What he's been doing, and he might say to the contrary, but what he's been doing and the policies that he's been advocating for are to compromise on people, on trans people and immigrants' rights, so that way we can appease the right wing. That is ridiculous. And that like, no, we should be fighting against this. And the other thing, the last thing I'm going to talk about, because I do have to go, actually two last things. So one is that Kyle point blank asks him if he believes that MAGA is a fascist movement, and Cenk won't respond. He won't say yes or no, which is wild because he has said that they are for years now, and now he won't say it. And now he said, well, you shouldn't call them that. That's a bad strategy.
Is MAGA a fascist movement? Just give me a yes or no.
That's an absurd framing, Kyle. That's mainstream media framing.
You can't say that MAGA is fascist. You can't. Wait. You really don't believe MAGA is fascist?
Like Kyle, like a lot of other people, like especially in my personal life, I'm kind of done sugarcoating things. I'm done sugarcoating things. Like everyone, oh, the tolerant left. No, this is the intolerant left. Like, I'm not going to be tolerant of your bad takes. I'm not going to be tolerant of your intolerance for trans people or immigrants. I'm just not. And so it's wild to me that he can't admit that. But the last thing, so the very last thing, and this is something that I think proves that Cenk is wrong and that Cenk is, he just doesn't want to admit that he's wrong, is Krystal was like, the only change that has happened in this country in the past 6 months, the only thing that has changed trajectory is the left and leftists going out and protesting and calling their Congress people. And Congress people reluctantly speaking out and reluctantly going places. Now, Hakeem Jeffries stopped everyone from going to CCOT, but there were a lot of Congress people who went before Hakeem Jeffries told them not to. And so things like that were the thing that made a lot of these policies and a lot of this stuff unpopular. And now that the Democrats aren't talking about it as much, his poll numbers are going up a bit. I mean, they're still down, but they're going up a bit on some stuff like immigration because the Democrats aren't talking about it as much. But when they were talking about it, it was going down. People knew what was going on and they were not okay with it. People were going to town halls. They were screaming at their Congress people. There were Tesla protests. There were so many things. And Elon Musk became so unpopular that he started losing money. And that's why he had to step aside. And he also had to step aside because he was a loser in the Wisconsin race. And that's probably why Trump was done with him. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's what happened. And that's what Krystal says. And Cenk is like, no, you're crazy. You're living in a different reality. Like, that's crazy. Do you think Trump cares what you think?
The only places where he has been constrained at all is when the left and liberals organized against Elon Musk, Tesla protests, showing up at town halls, etc., made him toxic. He had to be turfed out of the administration. Had everything to do with liberals and the left organizing against him.
Yeah, that's hilarious. The reason they are unpopular is not because the left's maximalist approach of yelling fascist at every Trump voter is working. It's because their policies are deeply unpopular.
And who explains that their policies are deeply unpopular? The left and liberals are the ones that highlight how deeply unpopular those policies are. So that's where the credit belongs.
Like I do. So
right, but that's not like Joe Rogan does, right? Joe Rogan doesn't do that. Charlie Kirk doesn't do that. They don't do that. I just said how
unpopular they are.
Yeah, but my point is, Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk don't do that, Cenk. They're not allies.
It's not about Trump caring what leftists or the left thinks. That's not what it's about. It's about putting public pressure on them. It is about Elon Musk being so unpopular that he starts to lose money. And that's the one thing that he doesn't want to do. Like, that's the one thing capitalists don't want. And so I think Cenk is wrong. And I think he made the wrong decision. And I think him and Anna, I I think some of it's sincere, but honestly, after watching this, I don't know how much of it is sincere because he's just so obviously wrong, and he has no talking points. He has no excuses. His only pushback was straw manning me. That's not what I said, even though it was what he said. I don't know what beliefs he has. I don't know. I think some of it is he really either changed his mind or was pretending to be progressive and is now going back, or he's doing this on purpose and he thought he was going to get views and money and he made the wrong decision. I don't know. This was wild. It was insane. Cenk's crazy, but yeah, I don't know. All right, well, I might do a part 2 with Kyle's part, but I gotta go. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all the things. I'm trying to continue to grow my channel. Thank you so much for helping me to get to 1K subscribers, and now I'm trying to continue to grow. So if you could help me, that would be amazing. Yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.